Welcome back everyone, this is Kylie the Curly Crafter, and today I'd like to show you guys how I made this red velvet Christmas tree cake. So I actually decided to make this cake because I've seen a lot of people making it on Pinterest and on YouTube, and I thought I'd give my good hand at it. It didn't turn out the best, the tree looks a little droopy and sad, but without further ado, let's get into this baking. The materials that I used for this cake is some powdered sugar, a super moist red velvet cake mix with this stuff to make it. I also got some gel colorings, some sugar cones, also I got some rich cream cheese frosting with 3 small cake pans, a little slicer for the top of the cake, and a spatula for spreading the frosting. I also got a spinning cake stand to put the cake on top, and this is everything that I used. So let's jump right into making the cake. So in order to actually make the cake part of the recipe, you're going to have to gather a few ingredients that include 3 eggs. You will also need a ½ cup measuring spoon, and then with that measuring spoon you're going to pre-measure a ½ cup of vegetable oil. So after that was pre-measured and in a small bowl, you will also need a cup and a 1/4 cup measuring spoons to measure that much water into another small bowl. And then the last thing that you will need to make the actual cake part is the bag of cake mix, and that is all the ingredients that you need to whip up the actual cake part of the recipe. Now that it is time to mix up the cake, I'm going to pour the bag of cake mix into the KitchenAid mixer. I'm also going to pour in my bowl of pre-measured water with the oil that is also pre-measured, and then after that was all added in, I'm going to lastly crack in my 3 eggs. Now it's time to stir it up, so I'm going to attach the whisk attachment, then I'm going to close the lid and make sure it's locked so it doesn't open while mixing, and then I'm going to turn it on to medium speed and begin mixing it till it is well incorporated and combined. While the cake finished mixing, I decided to grab the vegetable oil and spray the 3 pans that I will be needing to bake the cake in. And after they were all sprayed, I removed the bowl that had the mix in and started to pour them into my 3 mini pans, making sure that each pan had about the same amount of liquid in the inside. After making sure that I had every last bit of the mix into my 3 pans, I went over to the oven and began preheating it to 350 degrees. And then after it was all preheated, it was time to take my pans and place them into the oven and let them bake for about 20 minutes. Alexa, set alarm for 20 minutes.
20 minutes, starting now.
I had to check my cakes before this, and they actually had to go in for an additional 10 minutes. So now that it's 30 minutes past, my toothpick came out perfectly clean, and I was ready to take all of my cakes out of the oven. After letting the cakes cool on the stove for a couple of minutes, I decided to pull them out and let them finish cooling on a wired rack. About 10 minutes later, when my cakes were all cooled, I used this cake cutting tool and used it to slice off the top parts of the cake, and then was able to stack them up So then after that, I used some cream cheese frosting and added my cake onto the little spinning cake stand and started layering the pieces of cake together. And then after they were all sandwiched together nice and evenly, I decided to take the rest of the frosting with this frosting spreading tool and spread it all around the cake and the top. Once the sides and the top of my cake was frosted, I took half of the leftover cream cheese frosting and added it into a piping bag with a star tip and started piping this on the border of the top part of my cake and also on the border of the bottom part of my cake. So after all of the borders were on my cake, I took some gel food coloring in the green color and added it to the very last bit of my cream cheese frosting and mixed that up. So after it was mixed up, I also added my cream cheese green frosting into a piping bag fitted with another different type of star tip. And then I also used one of the sugar cones after I had all of my frosting into the bag. And the sugar cones is going to be my Christmas tree, so I used the piping bag and piped on little parts of the tree, like little stems coming out, to make it look like a Christmas tree. But I did notice that my frosting, for some weird reason, was like a little bit droopy, so all my little stems and branches kind of were like leaning over, and it was not the prettiest tree. It looked very sad, but it still tastes delicious. Because I wanted this cake to look like a winter wonderland, I also sprinkled on some powdered sugar to make it look like it was snowing, and I absolutely love how my cake turned out. I think it is super pretty and it was super delicious. I definitely enjoyed making this cake. It made me super happy to make and it was so much fun to do so. So I hope you guys will make one just like this one as well. Thank you guys for watching. I hope that you guys liked my cake, and if you did, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel because I have a bunch more CRAFTMAS videos coming on in the future, which includes more baking and crafting. So thank you guys and bye everyone!